Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United travelling to Wolves in the Premier League. To preview the game, as always, is Mr. Joe Smith. How are we doing?
All right.
Yeah?
Not a great time to be a United fan, is it?
No, it isn't.
Making some of the worst teams in the league look good at home.
Yeah.
Since 2020.
This is still pretty much as bad as it's ever been in the Premier League for United, isn't it?
It's slightly better than last season.
Slightly better.
And then
but
slightly worse than every other season.
Yeah, so it's the second worst, technically, because it's very rare that Manchester United are kicking around mid-table, but as you mentioned, last season we were kicking around the bottom half of the table. We're going to get into, obviously, the nitty-gritty of Wolves and the Predict 11s and all that, but the main talking point over the last few days in particular, certainly since the draw against West Ham, has been Ruben Amorim.
Yeah.
He's going through some things, our Ruben, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's sort of losing a little bit of his sort of lustre in the eyes of some fans. He's getting a little bit more tetchy in press conferences, even having a dig at our mate Carl Anker somewhat.
No one does that.
No one does that. If anyone's going to have a dig at Carl, it'll be...
No one.
No one. Yeah, I wouldn't even... Well, I was going to say it was, but it won't, so I wouldn't do that to him. When I say having a dig, he sort of pushed back on some of the things that Carl was asking him. Where do you stand on Ruben? You've been very supportive of him. Are you concerned that this could be the sort of the beginning of things going wrong? If that ship's not already sailed, could it be the beginning of the end?
I am concerned for him.
Yep.
And as I've said a lot, I'm not 100% convinced he's the man that's going to, let's put league titles aside, take us back to a consistent top 4 team.
No.
I'm not sat here saying that, if we just stick with him, everything will be okay. I'm not convinced of that. I do feel as though some of the things that we're seeing in the games are an issue with our quality on the pitch, and a lot of things are that. But I also think that some of the things we're seeing are the manager and doing things that I personally wouldn't do. But then, I'm not a football manager.
No.
That's not to say non-football people can't judge and analyse and be right where a football person is wrong. Because we've seen that 1,000 times as well, and there's been plenty of football managers that didn't play professionally who can still be good managers. So I don't like that argument. However, I do think that at the moment he's looking like the worst version of himself.
Yeah.
Where he's making decisions, those decisions, whether it's because of that decision or not, something's happening, he makes a decision and it gets worse afterwards. Again, on a one-off occasion, or 2 or 3 off occasion, you can't necessarily say that correlation equals causation. You don't know if you'd have not made a sub, if you'd have brought Maino on instead of Ugarte, if you'd have gone to a 4 at the back. You can't say we would have won any given game. But what you can say is over a decent period of time now, United are struggling to close games out.
Yeah.
And part of that comes typically after he's made his subs, because you make subs toward the end of the game. Therefore, you're going to be attributed a lot of that. You're going to be told it's your fault, and you can't prove anyone otherwise. The only thing you can do is start winning.
Yeah.
Especially when you're 1-0 up. So many games this season, United have had the good, not necessarily good fortune, but good form and good play to get 1-0 up, and then we drop leads.
Yeah.
We did it against Chelsea. I know we didn't end up losing the lead, but we scored first and then conceded. We did it against Liverpool. We did it against Forest. We did it against Tottenham. We've done it against West Ham as well. Like, United keep doing this thing where we score first, then concede, and either rally and get another one, or Brighton, luckily we were 3 goals up, so the 2 we conceded were okay. But we don't close games out, and when you never get clean sheets, every single game is going to be on a knife edge.
Yeah.
And that's a massive problem that the manager plays a big role in fixing. And when you look at his win percentages per club, it's 70s, 75, 73, 71%. Then at United it's 40%. So he's a manager that's used to winning things. He's used to his decisions making the team better. And at the moment it looks like he's struggling with that new role or new status that he does things and we get worse. He seems to be struggling with that, and that to me is a worrying sign for the manager. What do you reckon?
I'm surprised it's as high as 40. I actually thought it was lower than that, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not been good enough. It really hasn't. And he's been here a year now, and we have to see some improvement. We had October, where he was manager of the month. We obviously had some big results, especially that one at Anfield, and you think, right, okay, let's build on this. Then you have back-to-back draws when, like you were just saying there, you're in the lead, so it's a little bit deflating, despite the fact we went down 10 men against Spurs and managed to get a point after they went 2-1 up. It's still a little bit deflating. Yeah. The Everton game was a low point, I think, for many of us, including me. I'm still not got over that, if I'm being completely honest. But then you say, okay, we rally and we get a result against Palace. Right, great, let's build on that. And then against West Ham, just back to square one.
Yeah.
Just poor against a poor team. West Ham was shocking, and we made them look decent. So he's got to get some results together, a string of results together. It's no good having this sort of one good result, one mediocre result, or one good result, one poor performance, because it's just not going to cut it, and he's going to be in serious trouble. One of the biggest criticisms that Ruben Amorim has been getting, and he got it certainly after the West Ham game, was about this idea of taking a bit more of a risk.
Yeah.
About this idea of, okay, we can't keep clean sheets. We've had one clean sheet all season. Let's try and get the second goal. Let's try and get the third goal even. Let's really go for it. And he seems to be a little bit of risk averse at the minute. Do you think that's because of just the way he is, the sort of what he's used to doing? Do you think there is a little element of him getting a little bit nervous and not wanting to take chances because he's under pressure? Where do you stand on that?
I think it's a really hard one, and I don't think there's an obvious answer, because if you are a team that knows that we don't make clean sheets, right? Yeah. You go into the last 15 minutes of a game, you're 1-0 up, we are bad at not conceding. You bring an attacking player on, and we still concede, which has happened before, and which we have no idea whether that would have happened or not if you'd have brought Molineux on, for instance, instead of Ugarte. It looks so naive. Hang on a sec, you're a team that doesn't keep clean sheets, and what you've done is brought on an attacking player and thought you would keep a clean sheet. That would have looked ridiculous. The problem is, when you lose or drop points, whatever you did that led to it looks ridiculous. Yeah. So instead, you bring a defensive player on. To me, I get the logic. We're not very good defensively. Let's try and be better defensively. Because all United had to do in that West Ham game was not concede a goal in the last 10 minutes, and we've won. So what's the best chance of not conceding a goal? Well, it's probably having some good defenders on the pitch. That might help. I can see why you would think that.
Are you surprised, though? Because this whole thing about it, it's almost like people just acting like Mainoo's a defensive liability. I remember his debut at Goodison, and some of the games we saw him in midfield, alongside Casemiro at times, he was solid. Yeah, I remember him clearing off the line, about him collecting the ball from the defence, him keeping possession so well. And now it's almost assumed that he's not any good. He's not any good at that sort of element of his game, and that sort of surprises me, because I actually think he's very good, sort of sat deep in midfield. I don't think he gets about the pitch as much as Manuel Ugarte does. But if you gave me a choice out of two, I'd plump Molineux just because I think he's a much better footballer. I think he keeps the ball a lot better. But it seems to be this narrative now that Molineux's an attacking midfielder, and that sort of surprises me a little bit. Do you think that's just coming from the manager, or is that from what you've seen yourself?
I think that overall Ugarte does more defensive work than Molineux does. He does get more tackles in. His numbers are better defensively. Like you said, that isn't everything. Just because you get a tackle in doesn't mean you help your team defend less often. Because that's Paul Scholes wasn't a great tackling midfielder, but the amount of time we had to defend was massively reduced because you had someone as good as him on the ball dictating the game. Yeah. So there's that whole thing at play. But I also in defence of Ugarte don't think he did anything wrong against West Ham. I'm not saying he was amazing, but it wasn't his fault that we conceded that goal. And when he was on the ball, he barely gave it away. The problem was he was then tasked with creating another goal for us, which then now you're not in his wheelhouse whatsoever. No. And you could have done with Molineux. But if we'd have never conceded that goal, Ugarte wouldn't have been asked to do something he's not particularly good at.
I think there's a narrative building with Ugarte as well, where I saw it against Spurs.
Yeah.
People just don't rate Manuel Ugarte.
It was happening around me as well.
And I get it, because I'm not a massive fan, if I'm being honest. I think, give him to end the season. He should deserve to end the season, and we'll take stock there. But I've been underwhelmed massively by what I've seen so far. But it's like the Spurs game where it was all about him. Yeah. Everyone was like, oh, Ugarte. And even if you look at those goals, there was one goal, I think, that he didn't cover himself in glory, but there was like 5 players that didn't, and he was one of them. It wasn't just he gave the ball away, he fell over and they scored. It was literally like a combination of several players, him being one of them, who didn't do what they should have done. And I think there's a little bit of this going on with Ugarte now, as people are just sort of fed up of seeing him on the pitch, don't think he's good enough, want to see more of Molineux, and then that's causing sort of a bit more blame. Just on the Amorim risks side of thing as well, though, it's not just about going for it a bit more attacking as well. There's this thing with the academy, isn't there? Because our numbers in terms of minutes from academy players is one of the worst in the league, and it's usually one of the best. Yeah. And it's obviously something that United fans feel very emotional about, because it's, you talk about United DNA, me and you've discussed it countless times. The one thing that sort of separates United from almost any other team in the world is this connection with our academy, and how often we use academy players, and that's just sort of all but non-existent anymore, is it?
Yeah.
Do you think that's hurting you, Amorim in the eyes of the fans?
It's definitely hurting him. Again, if you win games, it don't matter. I mean, it does. Long term, it matters. You want to have success with academy players. But if we were third and we'd won, we'd beaten Everton, we'd beaten West Ham. I think we would be third by now, or we'd be one of the top teams in the league. This wouldn't be a conversation. Everything comes up when you aren't winning. Like Donny van der Beek, everyone was obsessed with him playing, and then when we started winning games, people weren't talking about Donny van der Beek anymore. And obviously, I'm not saying you want to stop talking about Mainu or people won't care, because they will, and I care about Kobbie Mainu. But the academy thing is, maybe if we tried some academy players, we'd win more games, because currently we're not winning enough.
Yeah.
I do think long term we do need a plan that will end up with academy players being able to show themselves if they're good enough. But then we need to see that. And the few times that we've seen academy players under Ruben Amorim in Amas, who I thought was up and down, Fredrickson up and down and not as good as Amas probably in the 3 or 4 games we've seen of him. They haven't necessarily passed the auditions, I would say that. But I want to see more. I want to see Shea Lacey. If he's in the squad every week, why is he there? Yeah. If you need attackers to win you a game and he's on the bench, why isn't he being brought on at some point? I don't quite understand that. And I do think he needs to take more risks on that front. But what I will say, taking risks and them failing won't keep your job anyway. You can, if he could start a team with 11 academy players in next week. If we lose to Wolves with academy players on the pitch, it won't keep him his job. So I do get why he's trying to play it safe and who do I think are my best players right now. But we want to look at a long-term project, and part of that needs to be, doing things that we want to see from a Man United manager, which is trusting the academy. And at the moment, we're not seeing that. And he does need to find a way to, get that ball rolling, because otherwise, we're going to lose games in a way that isn't Man United. That will quickly, shorten your lifespan as a United manager, I think. What do you think?
I think he needs to start giving some minutes to someone like Shea Lacey. I'd love to see Kobbie Mainu getting more minutes as well. For a multitude of reasons. I think attack-wise, we look lacklustre. And throwing a kid for 10 minutes, it can make a difference. You can get the crowd going for starters, which has a knock-on effect on the team directly. Yeah. We know how talented Shea Lacey is, and I think giving him a cameo, I think he's capable of doing some damage during the sort of 10-15 minutes. And we've seen so many attackers this season who've just underwhelmed. And I think Ruben Amorim's got to do something a little bit different. He's got to do something a little bit different, because he's going to end up costing himself his United job if he just sticks to what he's been doing. If he just carries on more of the same and we end up mid-table at the end of the season, I think he'll get sacked personally. And I think, not just placate the fans, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about looking at what you've been doing. Has it worked? We finished 15th, we lost the cup final to Spurs. Okay, let's part that season. This season, has it worked? A bit, but not really. Yeah. In the way this league is right now, United should be 5th, at least. Yeah. We should be up there. We should not have dropped as many points as we've dropped to teams that are worse than us. We should have beaten Everton and West Ham and be right in that mix now. There's no excuses. So if I'm Ruben Amorim, I'm looking at it going, okay, might be time to change a little bit. I don't think he's going to change drastically. I don't think he's going to go 4-3-3 or anything like that. But maybe just give a little bit of a nod to the academy players. Could help you get some more points on the board, because you've got to start picking up more points than you have done so far. So let's get into predicted 11s. But before that, Joe's got a special message for us all.
Send your pre-match predictions to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. 30 seconds on your phone, like this. Send them in to the email address I just mentioned and be featured on the watch-along at the start of the show to bring in the Wolves watch-along.
We'll go with you first, Joe. This is your predicted 11 for the trip to Molineux.
Yeah, I think we'll get De Ligt back in. He said that he thinks they'll be back for the Wolves game, so I'll take him at face value. I'll go with Lomans, Yoro, De Ligt and Shaw. And then I've gone with basically the same midfield or sort of wing back and midfield line there. I've taken Xerxes out of that front three. I don't know. I hate being critical, and I hate every week you have to talk about him and every week you have to give your opinion on him, which tends to be negative every week, and I don't like doing that. But I just don't see what his thing is. I couldn't tell you what the reason he's in the United team for, because he's not a great finisher. He's not a great build-up play creativity guy. He has the odd good touch, but that's not enough to be a United player. He doesn't seem to be up to speed with the rest of the team. He doesn't make great runs off the ball. He's not a sort of workhorse monster that's going to be pressing and winning the ball back high up the pitch. I don't see really what he's bringing. I know that's very harsh, but I just don't. Whereas with Mason Mount, I can at least say off the ball he's very good. He's got a good touch and he's got a creative eye. I don't think he's the best finisher in the world, but then I would put Cunha up front for a bit more legs and a bit more running in behind. I think we're going to need that pressure. I think we need to overwhelm Wolves, and I've gone with Mbeumo, Mount and Cunha up there, and just a bit more sort of fluidity and energy in that final third, personally. What have you gone for? It must be relatively similar.
Similar. We'll wait and see what happens to Delict. I've sort of gone under the idea that he might not be 100% ready.
Yeah.
And if he's not, I think Lenny Yoro comes in, and I've Mazraoui, Yoro and Shaw's your back three. But if Delict is fit, he'll play. I don't know whether Mazraoui might keep his place, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Lenny Yoro's sort of having this moment in it where it's not quite working out at the minute the way it should be, and he's been under a little bit of pressure, and he's been quite self-critical, the manager said, and the fans certainly were giving him a good reception the other day and getting behind him. Yeah, he did.
Against, West Ham.
But it's not been quite as smooth as it was at times last season, so maybe he'll go with the somewhat safer option. Can we say that in his Mazraoui?
Yeah.
Certainly more experienced. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying about Joshua Zirkzee. Zirkzee, he's enjoyable to watch at times, but those times are usually when you're winning, and we're not winning that often. If you're chasing the game or it's 0-0 and you're trying to get a goal, there's only that goal at Palace, but I think that was his first goal in 20 odd games or whatever it is. So he's probably at United at the wrong time. Really.
Yeah.
If we were dominating games and you could bring him on, everyone would love him. But when you're chasing games and you're in this moment where you're in the middle of the table, he's probably not the guy. I know Maka loves him, and I understand why, because he's a very, very good footballer. But you need a little bit more, don't you? You need a little bit more in terms of goals and assists. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think of all that. Let's talk about Wolves.
Yeah, awful, aren't they? Let's be honest, 2 points from 14 games is just horrific.
On course to be the worst Premier League side ever.
Yeah, almost certain to go down. It just
zero bounce from Rob Edwards, is there?
Zero bounce. They've lost 7 in a row in the league. They've scored 7, conceded the most in the league, which is 29. Minus 22 goal difference after 14 games is absolutely wild. That is unthinkably bad. The second lowest goal difference is minus 13, 9 better than the team who's last. It's unreal. And I just think, obviously, we can't count our chickens before they've hatched, etc. But if United don't win this game, it's an utter disaster. I think this is the joint fewest league, top flight league points at this stage of a season since Man United in 1930-31, which is a nice little stat.
I remember it well.
And Sheffield United in 2020. So even worse than the Derby season where they ended up with 11 points all year. This is a worse start than that was. Like, there's just simply no excuse.
This stinks of a draw.
It does stink of a draw, doesn't it? Here's the other fun thing, by the way, folks. We lost home and away to Wolves last season. So, yes, they're different, they're worse, this is terrible, but they know how to beat us. A lot of the players in that Wolves squad beat us twice last year. So there's going to be a little bit of fire there. 100% there will be.
I can't do this anymore, Joe. Honestly.
It's rough stuff, isn't it?
It is rough stuff. Like, just looking at their record there, that is woeful. Losing all those games. Just who have they got? We were going through the team. They've got João Gomez, who's suspended. Yeah. So they haven't even got him.
Got a little
Strand Larsen, I think, has got 3 goals this season, which, to be fair, our strikers, exactly got many more than him. But it's not great, is it? There's no one there where you look at it and go, oh, we need to be wary of him. They're just championship level, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think about Wolves. Joseph, with all that being said, give me your score prediction, please.
I think it's going to be a really scrappy scraper win. I think we'll probably see a similar trend that we've seen over the last 2 months, basically. We'll look good for a spell, probably score in that spell in the first half, and then I think we'll struggle to close out the game. That's what I think is going to happen. But I think we will close out the game. I think it'll be 2-1 to United. What do you think?
I think it stinks of a draw. It does. It stinks of a draw and a meltdown, and just more of the same. And Ruben Amorim, club's in the mud. Where's the standards gone? Give him time. What are you on about? It's the system. No, it's not the system. It's the players. It's both. Why is he not playing? God will conk him. That's what I think, Joe. I'm going to go for a 1-1. I'm sorry to depress everyone. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Let us know what you think. Do you think Manchester United are going to beat Wolves? Do you think we've got the predicted 11s right? Do you think Ruben Amorim's losing the plot? Do you think he's the man to take us into the next millennium? Joseph, always a pleasure, never a chore. We're going to be here for the watch along, aren't we?
Yeah, me, you,
and Ronnie.
Sort of Paddock podcast special.
Well, yeah, tell us about that.
Well, we're just going to do, because obviously the game starts at 8.
Yep.
We're going to do a little Paddock podcast in the build-up. So there will be a Paddock podcast this Monday.
I love that.
So
nice
the first hour of the show will be an extra special Paddock podcast.
Extra special Paddock podcast, what we like to hear. Go and check him out on the Sloppy Joe's podcast. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. This has been a preview. Don't forget as well, check out the merch. There's a link in the description.
Lovely
and
stuff.
thanks for watching.